information source, citation, research and data gathering, protocol, and website evaluation. Cite how digital cyber literacy may be integrated with teaching learning. Draw relevant life lessons and significant knowledge from personal experiences and digital risks and consequences. Analyze research abstracts and digital cyber literacy and its implication to the teaching learning process. And for the last, produce and evaluate a digital tool that may be utilized in the classroom. So, first, we have here Delina Drew years old. So, in nabasa.
After swimming class, a student who was given consent by her classmate took a video of the latter in a comfort room while changing her swimsuit. Suddenly, the video came out with the student's nude body and was viewed by many, including her family and friends. Being affected by such malicious scandal, the said student's family immediately confronted the school to hear explanations from those persons. Upon investigation, they found out that the one who took the video had mistakenly passed the button of the cell phone marked "Video Share" that made it accessible to all accounts registered in the Unbox Directory, which caused its immediate spread.
So, for the question, why do you think has to be liable on this issue? The girl who allowed someone to take the video, or her nude body, or the one who caused its spread justified? How should this matter be resolved? So, any ano po? Ikaw? So, dito, parang tinatanong ko sino nga ba yung dapat managot or sino ba yung tamang liable, main liable. So, para sa akin, they both, may kasalanan kasi dun sa dilema, parang inallowed naman yung girl na mag-book ng video sa kanya yung friend niya, pero yun nga, suddenly yung pag-take niya ng video, parang meron siyang namindot dun sa phone niya na parang auto-share dun sa lahat ng sa parang sa phone niya. Parang hindi naman niya intended na magkalat yun or yung magkaroon na ng nude pics or nude body so yun, parang both parties are liable. So parang dito nagmamatter na yung through guidance, parang guidance solution, parang pareha silang mag-uusap kung ano yung mga dapat consequences ng both parties. So next, we have digital literacy. So according to Wikipedia, digital literacy is the set of competences required for full participation in society that includes knowledge, skills, and the behavior involving the effective use of the digital devices for purpose and communication, expression, collaboration, and advocacy. So dito nga, papasok naman yung kung paano natin gamitin at kung paano mag-include natin yung skills natin sa paggamit ng mga digital platforms. Kung paano natin ito magagamit ng maayos, effective, at true way ng tamang behavior, tamang paggamit sa kanila. So, digital literacy is an individual ability to access both information and methods of communication through technology tools such as smartphones, tablets, laptop, desktop, PCs. And while digital literacy initially focused on digital skills and standalone computers, it focused how shifted to network devices, including the internet and the use of social media. So dito sa digital literacy, parang ang mga need natin or mga gamit na common sa digital literacy mga laptops, ganyan, yung mga ano natin, devices na ginagamitan ng internet. So, next is the cybersecurity. So, cybersecurity is the practice of protecting systems, network, and program from digital attacks. These cyber attacks are usually aimed at assessing, changing, or destroying sensitive information, extorting money from user, and interrupting normal business process. So, dito, cyber security, so, parang ito yung parang device na kung paano tayo mapoprotektahan sa mga hindi dapat nangyayari sa atin, sa social media, yun nga yung scams, yung mga malicious links na piniklik natin tapos yung parang nakukuha lang ang information natin. So, kailangan natin malaman kung paano gamitin at kung paano tayo magiging secure through cybersecurity. So, we have here tips on how to protect yourself against cyber threats. So, first is monitor behavior on social networks. So, yun na nga, kailangan din natin maging mapanuri sa any type of social media platforms or anything na ginagamitan na mga devices. Kasi, parang karamihan sa atin, hindi naman karamihan, parang mas kailangan natin yung alam natin kung ano yung magiging cost ng any kind of platform sa buhay natin. Kasi may mga social platforms ay social media platforms na parang hindi naman parang hindi siya recommended to use kasi nga parang nagagamit ko pang scams or pagnalaman ng iba't ibang kaya kailangan natin maging mapanuri and monitor. Yeah. Second, if devices safe. So yun, if devices safe, parang maging aware ka sa paggamit ng mga devices. So third, understand how best to use passwords. So yun, karamihan kasi parang ang dali ng mga passwords na nilalagay natin. So parang dito, parang kailangan natin mag-isip ng secured password na tayo na talaga makakalam. Parang hindi madali hulaan ng kahit sino. Para iwas scams and yung posers. So handle unsafe content and consider safety for the future. So next, we have cyber citizenship. So citizenship is an old value that is now applied when you review the internet. So cyber citizenship refers to being responsible when using the internet. Doing one time when no one is looking speaks a lot about one's character and morals. The power of this digital world is associated with responsibilities and consequences. Therefore, we can explore and navigate all information available online. However, we should observe cyber citizenship or manners and etiquette on the web. So dito, cyber citizenship, parang sinabi ko kanina na dapat kailangan, para sa cyber security, parang kailangan mo rin maging mapanuri. As cyber citizenship naman, so free naman, karamihan ng social platforms are free to, lahat free na mag-express tayo ng opinion, Kaya, instead of ganyan, parang maghanap na lang tayo ng mas mga true vocal, yung face-to-face, hindi yung sa GC, sa hindi pag screenshot, hindi nalaman namin yung kaya para mas maigi na gamitin natin ang yung one by one or one versus one na example. Yan. So, third, use the internet to help you with your schoolwork, but give credit to the sources you use and critically analyze everything research on them. So, dito, huwag tayong basta-basta kuha lang ng kuha ng information through online. Example yung sa research, di ba, hinihingi yung links sa pagkuha ng RS natin para mag-research. So, huwag mong kakalimutan yung credit dun sa kinuhaan mo din. Kailangan mo rin maging magbasa at magpanood kasi baka makuha mong links. Din naman pala, nako din. So, pares pa kayo. So, fourth, use the internet purposefully to learn more about anything you are interested in. To help you research relevant and needed data or information to stay connected with friends throughout the world. So, dito naman, gamitin mo yung internet na yung one purpose niya talaga, hindi yung gagamitin siya na sa maling way. So, make sure you verify information before you share it or use it on a project and check on accuracy and truth in the information research on the web. So, yun, kailangan mo rin ditong hindi yung click lang ng click. Parang sa paggawa ng schoolworks, hindi mo, parang yung sinerge mo, tapos kala mo yun yung tamang sagot. Kailangan mo rin siyang i-analyze kung tama nga. Kasi baka pinasa mo, tapos nabasa mo yung teacher mo, mali, tapos hindi siya akma sa pinapagawa ng assignment. So, mahirap na. So, give out certain information on it. So, yun, huwag kang bigay ng information. Pag hindi lang ang hinihili mo na number, ganyan. So, kailangan lang yung mga certain information. So, 7, don't answer questions that make you uncomfortable. So, dito, yung through sa maraming mga scams na maraming questions na tapos naniniwala naman agad tayo. So, kailangan natin maging unconscious sa akin. Yung tawag doon? Basta yung maging aware tayo sa mga question nila parang ang question, what is your, yung parang count, ganyan. So, pag gano'n, yung mga question nila sa'yo, parang skip and sabihin mo sa kanila na you're not comfortable with that question. So, 8, always make sure you have told a reliable adult if you decide to meet someone you know through the internet. So, kasi diba, laganap sa atin yung yung mga dating apps, sa mga bata, karamihan yung mga bata ang bitin na pagkikita nila sa labas, ganyan. Tapos mababalik ka, wala na, namatay na, pinatay na. Ganyan. Kaya kailangan, kung makikipag-ano ka, kailangan mo rin siyang ipagtanong-tanong or ipagtanong ka sa mas nakakatanda kung okay lang ba or tama kasi karamihan baga sa social media yung mga ganyan. Mga karamihan poster ka sa biktima mga bata. So, 9, always be aware of copyright law and give credit to whom an article or a part of it is due. So, dito pasok yung plagiarism, Cameroon. Kasi, yun na nga, yung parang kumuha ko sa internet, tapos merong owner yun, Hindi mo siya bibigyan ng credit. Ang binigyan mo ng credit yung sarili mo. So yun, bawal yun. Kailangan mo rin siyang suriin na kahalagaan kung sino talaga tunay na nagawa. Give credit. So 10, use only the computer that you are allowed to use. To avoid hacking. So dito, kailangan mo lang gamitin yun na yung sinabi, yung allowed computer. Huwag kang dali na alam mo hindi naman pwede kasi alam mo hindi makakaka. So huwag mo lang gamitin. Be aware. So we have here importance of cyber citizenship. First, it keeps the internet free from hurtful statements. Second, it creates a culture or more reliable information. Third, it gives permission for people to be given credit for what they have credit. More criminals or bullies can be caught when kids are honest and talk to adults. And it keeps information private. So, next important na po sa proper etiquette.
So, yun naman part 2 is, sa report is proper etiquette. So, follow this simple rules to ensure that you make wise choices when sending messages. So, baka pag mag-send na daw po tayo ng messages online or email, kailangan daw po natin sundin itong mga rules na to. So, first, make sure you have the correct address and proper spelling, correct spelling, and proper sending the information to the right person in doing it online. So, kapag mag-send daw po tayo ng message online, kailangan daw po correct yung address with correct spelling, and dapat i-send natin lang sa right receiver para hindi magkaroon ng second, check information before sending or posting any message and avoid posting statements and information on the web or forwarding junk email or chain letters to the family or home. So kapag mag-send daw po tayo through online or email, make sure daw po na tama po yung isasend natin para maiwasan po natin yung mga junk mail na isasend natin. Kasi baka mahirap yun kapag isasend natin sa family natin, magkakaroon sila ng problema sa device nila. So number 3, reread what you wrote to make sure it is what you want to say and that the other person will interpret it the same way. So kapag magsasend daw po tayo ng message online, make sure daw po na tama po yung isasend natin. So next, keep your comments clean and don't confront others online or say anything that could be hurtful to them. So kapag magsasend daw po tayo ng message or magko-comment tayo sa halimbawa sa social media, example sa Facebook, kapag may content tayo nakita na hindi natin gusto, huwag tayo magko-comment sa comment section ng nakakasakit sa kanila. So yun daw po yun. And next, number 5, keep your personal and friends information private and don't forward information that was just given to you without research parents. So sa mga teacher naman daw po, kapag mag-post tayo ng mga personal, kung daw po tayo mag-post ng mga personal matter natin sa social media, like mga pictures din, hindi magandang tingnan kasi possible na makita yun ng mga students natin. So, third is, you shall not respond or address to any personal message created by students online other than this school related. So, dito naman po sa number 2 is, kapag daw po nagchat sa atin yung mga students natin ng mga personal, so huwag daw po natin re-replyan. Dapat ang re-replyan natin is yung mga school matters or school related. Number 3, you shall not lend or let students access your cellphone. So dapat hindi daw po natin pinapahirap ng mga teacher yung cellphone natin sa mga students natin. So, next, you shall not give your email or password to students. So, hindi daw po dapat natin sinishare yung email or password natin sa mga students. And number 5, you shall not use concepts and information from text and references without the author citation. So, hindi daw tayo daw po mga teacher kapag gumagawa tayo ng mga halimbawa report natin, hindi daw po tayo dapat kumuha ng mga information from other authors na walang consent nila. So, makaka-copyright tayo kapag ginawa natin. So, number 6, you shall not post to any social media account for whatever purposes the picture of the students without their or their parents' consent. So, dapat na po kapag post natin sa social media yung pictures ng mga students natin, kailangan pumayag sila or may consent ng students or ng parents. So, next, you shall not express sentiments, disappointments, and disagreements against superiors, colleagues, students, and their parents using their social media accounts. Number 8, you shall not use data from internet sources and any documents like lesson plans, researches, and recordings without the consent of the author. Number 9, you shall not give any personal data or others information to anyone unless for specific purposes and within the consent. Number 10, you shall not post any student's data publicly online, including academic rankings, physical records, class outputs, and records of grades. So, internet safety is online safety or cyber safety means trying to be safe on the internet. It is maximizing the user's personal safety and security risk to private information and property associated with using the internet, including self-protection from computer theft. As the number of internet users continues to grow worldwide, issues and concerns also continuously exist. Information security. It is sensitive information such as personal information, identity, and passwords are often associated with personal.
Next is common causes of information security breaches. So, phishing. Phishing is a prevalent type of scam where scammers pretend to be a reliable source with the goal of acquiring sensitive information like passwords, credit cards, details, and more. So, they achieve this by creating fake websites that closely mimic legitimate ones, tricking individuals into divulging their private data. So, phishing is a form of cybercrime that relies on social engineering techniques to manipulate individuals into disclosing personal or financial data under false pretenses. So, it is a serious threat to online security and privacy, requiring vigilance and awareness to safeguard against falling victim to such fraudulent schemes. So, next is internet scams. Internet scams are deceptive schemes designed to trick users in different ways with the aim of exploiting them. These scams can take many forms and often target unsuspecting individuals to gain an advantage through fraudulent means. So they manipulate users' trust, emotions, or lack of awareness to achieve their malicious objectives. So malware. Malware is a type of malicious software, particularly spyware that is disguised to collect and transmit private information such as passwords without the user's consent
or knowledge. So this form of cyber threat is a challenging to detect because infected files may appear legitimate, making it difficult for users to identify whether their system has been compromised. So malware poses a significant risk to online security and privacy as it can lead to unauthorized access to sensitive data and potential exploitation by cyber criminals. Personal safety and threats. Personal safety and threats have become significant concerns with the growth of the internet, which has enabled universal access to essential services like digital communication. Cyberstalking. Cyberstalking involves the use of the internet or electronic devices to harass or stalk individuals, groups, or organizations. So through various malicious activities like false accusations, defamation, identity theft, threats, and solicitation for inappropriate purposes. Cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is the act of using electronic platforms such as instant messaging, social media, email, and other online communication channels to abuse, intimidate, or exert power over an individual or online predation. So online predation refers to the act of luring underage minors into inappropriate sexual relationship via internet. So this behavior is categorized into three groups. So first is manipulative, typically involving individuals who engage in grooming behaviors resembling child monsters. So next is opportunist, often associated with individuals who exploit situations opportunistically similar to rapists. So next is coercive. Ito yung combining characteristic of both rapists and child molesters, utilizing coercion tactics in their interactions with minors. Obscene or offensive content. So, obscene or offensive content refers to material found on certain websites that can be considered distasteful, explicit, or offensive, potentially not aligning with the user's preferences. So, sextortion. Sextortion involves the utilization of webcams for flirting and cybersex. In many cases, this practice includes a cyber criminal pretending to be someone else, like an attractive individual, to initiate sexual conversation with the victim. Next is computer threats and fixing solutions. So in the realm of computer security, a threat is defined as any element that possesses the capability to inflict significant harm on a computer system. It represents a possibility, whether realized or not, that holds the potential to cause severe damage and can result in attacks on computer system and networks. To ensure the protection of computer networks, the following measures can be implemented. First is install antivirus software. So, install antivirus software. Installing reputable antivirus software helps detect and remove malware, viruses, and other threats that could compromise network security. So, next is ensure that the antivirus software is up to date. So, regularly updating antivirus software ensures that it can effectively identify and combat the latest cyber threats and vulnerabilities. Next is employ a firewall to protect networks. Using a firewall acts as a barrier against unauthorized access to the network, filtering incoming and outgoing traffic to prevent potential security breaches. Next is filter all email traffic. So, implementing email filtering tools helps identify and block malicious emails containing malware, phishing attempts, or other harmful content before they reach users' inboxes. Educate all users to be careful of suspicious emails. Providing cybersecurity awareness training to all users helps them recognize and avoid suspicious emails, reducing the risk of falling victim to phishing attacks or malware distribution through email. Scan internet downloads. So before opening or installing downloads files, ensure they are scanned for malware or threats to prevent potential security risks. Do not run programs of unknown origin. So, avoid running programs from unknown or unreliable sources to minimize the risk of malware infections or unauthorized access to the system. Implement a vulnerability management system. Regularly identify and address vulnerabilities in the system to enhance security and reduce the risk of exploitation by cyber threats. Make regular backups of critical data. Create consistent backups of critical data to protect against data loss due to cyber incidents, system failures, or other unforeseen events. Develop an information security policy. Establish a comprehensive policy outlining security measures, procedures, and guidelines to ensure confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data and systems. So, monitor logs and systems. Regularly monitor system logs and activities to detect and respond to suspicious or unauthorized behavior, helping prevent security breaches. Develop an incident response plan. Prepare a detailed plan outlining actions to be taken in the event of cybersecurity incident, ensuring a timely and effective response to mitigate potential damages. Last one is restricted end users access to the systems. So limit user access to systems by implementing controls, permission, and policies to minimize the risk of unauthorized actions or data breaches within the network. Cyberbullying. Cyberbullying, cyber harassment, or online bullying pertains to the act of bullying or harassing individuals through electronic platforms commonly observed among minors, particularly in school environments. This behavior has seen a rise in prevalence, notably among teenagers as digital communication become more widespread. Cyberbullying is cyberbullying is similar to traditional bullying. It is just that victims may not know the identity of their bully and the reason for bullying them. Cyberbullies may disclose victims' personal data on websites or forums called doxing, or may use impersonation and create fake accounts, comments, or sites for the purpose of publishing material in their names. So this can give the cyberbully anonymous and difficult to be caught or apprehended for his murder. Cyberbullying encompasses various types, including internet trolling. So internet trolling, this form of cyberbullying involves provoking and offending others in an online communities to disruptions. Next is cyberstalking. Cyberstalking is a type of harassment where electronic communication is used to stalk a victim, creating a credible threat and intending to harass them. Cybercrime. Abbas defines cybercrime as any criminal activity carried out using computers or the internet. So cybercrime is tools like phishing, viruses, spyware, ransomware, and social engineering to break the law. So cybercrime is defined by as a crime with a computer as the object of the crime or is used as a tool to commit an offense. Cybercriminals may use computer technology to access personal and confidential information or use the internet for its creative or malicious purpose.
On diba, exploring the internet, researching and evaluating them. So here, this topic, we are about learning how to properly search or how to properly browse in the internet or yung topics that we wanted to know. So, ayan. Sa internet as we already know it, the internet is a global communication platform that is used to exchange information, to communicate with other people, to post your workouts. Everything is actually revolves around internet sa panahon ngayon. So you can communicate across the world because of internet. And of course, here surfing in the web. So in surfing in the web, there's some precautions and things that we need to understand and we need to remember so we can say that we are surfing on the internet safely. So, here are the 3 factors and surfing the web. Of course, the most surfing session starts with the user target first. Pag mag-search ka, ano ba yung dapat mag-search? So like for example, we wanted to research in an article or that is relevant for your research. So, kunyari, related to your research title, ano ba yung dapat mo research? Hanapin mo yung variables ng title mo and then you are going to visit the internet, research mo. You can put it into a questions actually, not just the keywords, not just the word itself. So number 2 is we have to find another good strategies in searching web, including writing research questions. And then I said nga, pwede kang magamit ng research questions. Pwede kang mag-construct ng sarili ng questions. Like for example, you want to learn how to create a methodology, right? A methodology. So pwede research niya, how to properly write methodology. What is the example of methodology whatsoever, like instrumentation, or kung ano pa man yung gusto mong i-research. So you can, it could be a form of a question. you have to be meticulous in choosing a website and choosing the information we're going to input to your workouts. No? So, ayan. Trustworthy ba itong website na ito? Pwede ba akong kumuha dito? Hindi ako plagiarize ako. Or baka naman mali yung pinipili ko, hindi naman naman siya connected. O baka naman hindi talaga totoo na tama yung mga source of information na nakalagay dito. Baka nakaw lang din. So, you have to evaluate it more. You have to think kung tama ba itong ginagamit mo. Before you just put it into your workouts, bago ka mag-paste, you have to know, you have to be sure kung tama yung ginagawa mo. Ano? As a future teacher. That is the kind of attitude that we must practice. So, yan. So, ayun din naman ay nakaiba ng informational website and commercial website. So, let me give a little context about it. Informational website, in the words of information, it aims to inform. It aims to give information to the readers or to the netizens. Diba? Information website, example niya is yung mga news website. And then, isa niya is yung mga educational, ganyan, yung mga research page, hot.com. Yan, more on information yan. Kasi you can find an information, of course, you can research something that you need to learn. On the other hand, commercial websites promotes commercials, promotes business, promotes artists, promote works, and other things pa. So, ang main goals ng commercial website is hindi ko sure kung ina-accurate ba yung information na binibigay niya because it aims to promote only, not to provide a relevant information. Okay, I'm sorry. So, yan. So, para maging matalino sa pag-search into websites and internet, here are 6 credibility criteria that you must learn or you must master. First is the author. Alam mo, sino ba ang author nitong article na to? Sino bang may gawa nito? Is he a well-known writer or just a random person that is posting on the internet? Relevant ba yung mga sinasabi niya? Background of the author matters. Kasi doon mo malalaman if that person is actually giving irrelevant information or just bluffing about it. For this date, like I said, dapat updated siya and related sa status mo. O paano kung 10 years ago pa pala siya pinablish and ang goals mo is state-to program, right? So, hindi na siya pasok. So, it is important for you to learn the date. Kahit sa research, diba, we have this 3 years rule na dapat hindi siya tataas sa 3 years. From 3 years to present, right? So, purpose. What is the purpose of this website? Para saan po? Ano ba to? For informational? For promotion? For commercial? O for just wala lang? Promise. So, dapat. And of course, as a researchers, you must know your purpose. Why are you doing this? What are you doing this for? Para saan ba mong ginagawa mo, di ba? Para sa lesson plan, para sa research or whatever. So, you must know that. And then, contact, of course, kasi diba sa mga website, there is some contact information so you can clarify things in the workouts. O, kung sa mga website mo yun, makikita nyo doon. Ito yung contact number of the school. Name, and then contact number of that person. Ganyan, nakalagay siya. If there is a clarifications about the post, nandoon, doon yung siya pwedeng kontakin yung person, pwede ko na ngayon this is my work, why did you post it? So, just like that. Ito yung example. So, and then number 5 is facts versus opinion. This is wherein you evaluate if this is a fact, if this is based on the factual information or just an opinion of a person. Opinion kasi it is what the person stands for. Factual is based on real life events and there is certain evidences. So you must know the difference. Kailangan mong malaman kung tama ba yung nakalagay dito o baka naman bluffing stuff. Baka wala pa rin then here, number 6 is the URL get meeting or URL. So, may mga different types of URLs tayo na nakikita when it comes to researching ng websites. Here are some examples. Hindi masyadong makita. Yan. Kapag sa government siya, natatandaan mo, there is a word.com sa dulo. Kasi ibig sabihin, credited siya by the government. And of course, it is trustworthy kasi yung mga informations dito ay tumadaan muna siya sa mahahabang process, i-evaluate, bago siya makapasok sa website, bago siya ma-impose. Kasi it supposed to represent the government. Okay? So, another is website ending with edu. So, pag edu naman is Department of Education. Something is mga institutions yan. It could be educational, educational institution, pwede sa CHED, pwede sa DepEd, or sa paman. Sa atin, dito sa Maginili Habitat, mga edu, kahit mga
Sa portal.
sa portal natin. Yun. So, yun yung mga examples yan. MC Portal. So, of course, obviously, kapag ganun, kapag may edu yung website na ang nire-represent is educational institution, meaning to say, mostly na laman mo is about education, about sa institution, about doon sa mga, kung ano ba yung nagaganap sa schools na yun. So, or kung ano ba yung mga updates about education. So, yeah. Pero yung mga non-profit ones naman daw, they also provide credible information. Pwede din silang provide ng mga advertising. It can, kasi nga, kapag mga organizations naman, kapag ang tulo naman kasi ORG or org, it is organization. Example, yung mga commercials like, yung mga idols, Zara, yeah. And Zara is a website wherein you can buy clothes, designer brands, and whatever, just like that. Sephora, actually, I think they will develop it. So, yes, credible yung mga informations dyan. Pero, the tools is to promote. The aims is to be audience. It is a commercial kind of website. So, meaning to say, yung makikita nyo dyan is, well, kayo makikita mga educational program unless they are selling books, right? So, makikita nyo dyan is for promotions ng mga product na pumupromote nila. So, ayan, recognitions of information sources. So, ito naman, alamin mo dito is kung alin ba yung mga sources ba na pinagkunan ng mga website na yun. Masama ba sila sa legal implications? Kasi there is things that we call copyright issues. Like I said na, diba, before you copy-paste a certain information that posted on the internet, you must know na tama yun and hindi yun tinakaw lang din. Kasi what if tinakaw lang din pala yung that person and claiming that it's all. So, yes. Yan. Kailangan, you need to know it. You should recognize it. You have to evaluate it. Nakita ko ba ito somewhere? Or somebody just copied this information. So, your citation, proper citation. So, yeah, proper citation is being applied, of course, or included every source used. Whether it's a website, a newspaper, or a book, all these sources are cited differently because we have different traditional print sources. So, lang tinitingahan natin yung citation. Ano ba to? Ano ba nakalagay dito? Ito ba ay para sa mga newspapers, para sa mga books, or para naman sa website or promotion. So, you must learn it. You must see the citation. You have to check. So, here we have, let's move on to the data privacy and application. So, it involves uploading pictures, design, drawing, concept, and newspaper. So, yan, actually, itong topic na ito. Malaming nagkakamali dito sa part na ito. People just keep on grabbing pictures and whatever they see on internet without even thinking kung may ari na ba ito. Like, for example, stealing someone's way out. So, actually sa school, this is commonly observed, and I've been a victim of this actually. That's a long part. So yeah, so yung data privacy, actually hindi siya masyadong napapansin dito sa Pilipinas. People stealing pictures of a certain person, posting it on the internet without asking for their consent, if it's okay lang sa kanila. So yes, we must observe this. As a future teacher, we must learn how to apply these practices na maiwasan yung mga ganong klase ng speed. So practical techniques in responding to data privacy issues. Number one is in getting data, put proper citation and source acknowledgement. Of course, kailangan maglalagay tayo ng gano'n. Yung sa citation, kung saan mo kinuha yung mga sources na yun, kailangan naka-indication sa site mo na we acknowledge this person for this references, ganyan, whatever. So yeah. So when using edited pictures from the internet downloaded, so you have also put an acknowledgement. Actually, yung sinasabi ko na dapat if you're going to use someone else's pictures, ask their permission, or kung hindi naman, put a credit on them. Kasi hindi mo naman kilala, diba? Nakita mo lang sa internet. So, at least put a credit. Oh, yung picture found on Pinterest by ganyan, whatsoever like that. So, yes, that is important. So, if data concept and information are copyrighted, ask for the consent of the author and wait for his response. Like I said, you have to ask the permissions of the owner of that certain pictures or certain ideas na gusto mong i-repost or ilagay. Kasi nga, pag nanotas yun ng site, nakita nila na you copied this, you're already copyrighted. You are already stealing someone else's work. You're already stealing someone else's idea. So however, if the data and information are for public domain, just acknowledge citing the author of the source code. So kapag pang-public naman siya, kagaya sa government, eh hindi naman siya, kumbaga, hindi naman masyadong required ng kailangan ng consent, gano'n. Maglagay ka na lang ng credits. Maglagay na lang tayo ng, eto credits, the owner of this pictures, ganyan, blah, blah, blah. Importante kasi yun, because you are not, meaning to say, you are not, invalidating that person or you are not stealing that person's works up. So, ayan. If the author doesn't really want to utilize this to data file or article, learn about it. Paano po, kung hindi mo mali si author na gamitin ko yung gawa niya? You should have to let it go kasi hindi naman yun sa'yo. Gumawa ka ng sarili mo. Diba? Hindi pa rin sabihin, ipipilit, hindi mo pwede ipilit kasi karapatan niya yun. Learn how to respect them. Pinaghirapan niya yun. Hindi yun sa'yo. Okay? So, yes. Then, so research and data collection iwasan yun as a student. Kasi kung hindi mo naman sinasadya na wala na po talaga akong makuha ang idea and kinopya mo na. Interpret it. Yung nakita mo idea, interpret mo, gumawa ka ng sarili mo explanation based on how you understand that. Then, ayun, meron ka ng buha. Diba? You don't need to steal someone else's work. And then, so let us move on to 10 types of plagiarism that teacher and researchers and students should know. Okay, number 1 is the clone plagiarism. It is also called identical copying or copying another work without any change in claims as his or her own work. So, ayan. Ito yung kadalasan nangyayari sa school. Nag-send ka ng gawa mo sa classmate mo para ipag-print. Tapos, pagpasa niyo kay teacher, pareho kayo ng gawa. Kulang na lang pati apelyedo mo tinopya. So, ito yun nangyayari. Clone, as in, word by word, that person copies your works. As in, wala siyang binago. Kulang na lang pati pangalan mo. Ito yun. Ito yung part na yun. So, ang tawag doon is clone plagiarism. Pinokopya lahat. Number 2 is the remix plagiarism. The person of collecting information from various sources. Ito ang talino nito eh. Ang talino ng gumagamit nito. Kasi hindi na siya sa isang tao humingi ng idea or kukuha ng idea. Hindi, marami, multiple persons. Tapos pag-combine mo yung idea. Ay, di meron siya sariling gawa. Ano ba? Ibay. Boss. So, yun. And then, hindi nila, ay, gawa ko yan. Pero, kinuha niya lang naman yun sa iba't ibang tao. Hindi niya sarili yun. So, ang tawag doon is remix plagiarism. Yun. You are mixing the ideas and the words of others and then claiming it as your own. And number 3 is the control C plagiarism. This is a significant version of text copying from any single source without any alterations and completing document. And ito yung copy-paste, basta sa internet. Sabi ni ma'am, gano'n. Lagi na yung makikita mo sa internet, kukunin niya lang, then siya na yun. Wala ka lang binago, minsan mali na yung grammar, hindi napasok sa content, sige lang. So yun. Number 4 is the hybrid plagiarism. Ayan, level up. And yung perfectly cited source document or copy and arranged as a new document without citation. So, ito sa paano na nangyari. So, si person, pumunta sa internet, gagawa siya ng article. Tapos, nakita niya itong magandang article na ito. Ginaya niya, i-rearrange niya. Yung introduction, binago niya. Binago niya naman yung title. Parang binago nila, kumuha siya ng title sa body. Yung title, hindi pa niya sa body. I-rearrange niya. Parang pinara-place niya. Pero, tawag dyan. Pero pinopya pa din niya. The fact is, you still copy it. You steal someone's work pa. Wala kang babago. Kasi it is her idea or his idea. Sa kanya pa rin yun. Ang ginawa mo, i-rearrange mo lang. So, it's still considered as stealing, as plagiarism. That is what we call hybrid plagiarism. Ito yung mga ginagamit ng mga makopya ng mga matatalinong mga matatalinong makopya. Kasi, they know how to rearrange. Technically, they know how to write. Kaso, they can be somehow lazy kasi kung kayo naman pala magsulat, pwede nyo copy someone else's work, right? So, number 5 is the time-replace plagiarism. This is changing the most common keywords, phrases, and document. Eto, dito magagamit yung field work, right? Pupunin mo yung idea ng isang tao, pupunin mo yung idea ni Lovely, tapos ipaparaphrase ni Angelo. O, ganon, pwede yun. Ganon yung nangyayari. O, pinaraphrase mo ng pinaraphrase, hindi yung generic, yung hawaan ng idea. So number 8 is the core of foreigner plagiarism. I haven't heard of it yet. Because here a person creates a document by copying various sources as prepared as a single document with citation but inaccurate or leads to the non-existing resources. So etong part na to ng plagiarism is very intelligent. Not smart. Kasi kukuha ka ng ideas sa isang document. Tapos, kapupyahin mo siya various sources. And then, hindi mo i-check yung accuracy ng documents or ng ideas kung tama ka ba dun sa study mo. Dito nangyari yung mga unrelated context na naisasama mo doon sa pinaka-target. So, yes. And then, may citation na, may nakalagay na ng sources, but if they check the sources, it is non-existing or could be unrelated to the topic naman. Meaning to say, mali yung nilagay ng sources. No? Hindi niya ma-define na doon mo kinuha. Because you just steal it from a various sources. Kumbaga, pinagkakaroon mo, naglagay ka ng isang sources, which is mali naman pala. Number 9, aggregator plagiarism, or aggregator. Your written document includes proper citation, but it is not complete original work. Ito yung ginagawa ng mga kanina. Talagang may citation, perfect na pagkakagawa, perfect na pagkakakopya. Pwedeng pinaraphrase, pwedeng ni-rearrange, pero may citation din siya, pero hindi na talaga siya original work. Gawa pa rin siya ng iba. The fact is, ninakaw pa rin. So, number 10 is retweet plagiarism. It is happening actually in Twitter. Ayan, here all written documents look perfect with properly cited mark, but still the document is not so. Ito yung sa mga posts ba lang, sa mga quotations na pinipost sa Twitter, ninanakaw ng mga ibang tao. Like for example, I posted a poetry and then that person copied it, posted in all different platforms or pwedeng sa Twitter din. Tapos pinipilin nila na sa kanila yun. Although, pag yun mo yung hinanap mo kung kanina talaga, makikita mo na sa ibang tao. So, they just copied it and pinipilin nyo sa kanila. So, yun yun, retweet or pwede naman na retweet lang yung person yung, nandun yung name ng may-ari. Pero, tawag dyan, hindi pa rin niya credit, hindi pa rin niya klinawa na the post is not belong to me, hindi niya, walang gano'n. So, still, the person choose to be silent about it, copying it or not. So, tips on how to avoid plagiarism. Dapat nun palang alam mo na. So, ito, turnitin.com suggests some techniques to avoid plagiarism that a teacher or researchers, a student must or should know. Number 1 is read and understand the original document several times before start explaining about it. So, ayun. Sabi ko nga, di ba, kapag kumuha tayo ng sources, kapag gagawa tayo ng article or ng ideas na kukunin natin sa internet, kailangan alam natin yun. Pag-aaralan mo natin mabuti kasi we cannot just input wrong information na hindi naman natin alam at pag tinanong sa atin, hindi natin kaya i-depend kasi hindi naman tayo yung gumawa. So, of course, do not copy any words or sentence from the original document. Kagaya sa mga kanina, para maiwasan natin yung pag-accidentally plagiarize someone's work is read the statement or understand the statement and then create your own interpretation. Gumawa ka ng sarili mong interpretation doon. Gumawa ka ng sarili mong idea. Mag-construct ka ng sarili mong article about that. And that way, this is sa'yo talaga yun. You find the sources, but the whole idea is yours. Bakit? Kasi it is based on your interpretation, your own understanding. And then, hindi mo naman sinabi na, ako nagbigay ng quotes na yun. No, you just interpret it. So, yan. Huwag na kakapin na kahit ang words. Of course, give a proper citation to all the sources. Yan. Lagi mo ilalagay kung saan website kung galing, kung saan video, kung sino author, kung saan journal. Yan. nandun yung date, nandun yung author, nandun din yung URL, yung link. Para kung sakaling mas teacher, kung check niya, ay, ang Google. Dito pala nagaling yung sources ni DM. Dito niya talaga kinuha. Common phrases and definitions that need to be coded inside the any codifications. Yan. Meron mga phrases dyan na kahit hindi naman kailangang i-research or hindi naman na kailangang ilagyan ng quotation. Kailangan lang i-emphasize. So, yan. Wrong. Dapat, kung makikita niyo yung mga gano'n na, kunyari, kagaya doon sa wrapping paper, na example na gawa namin, yung statement, no speaker, I put it as a title, and then I put a quotation, and then nilagay ko na, according to Mr. Jesse Gilligan. So, ibig sabihin, mean to say, Mr. Jesse ang nagsabi, yung quotations na yun. So, binibigay ko yung credit sa kanya, hindi ako. Hindi yun galing sa akin, kundi galing mismo dun sa taong yun. So, yes, this is important para hindi kayo mag-popularize. Para hindi tayo nakakapagnakaw ng buwak ng iba, hindi natin naman kayayan. So, make a practice to include the references section whenever you read an academic document. So, pag-abot sa akas, or kahit ano pa man yan, kapag kinuha nyo sa iba, siguraduhin nyo na nakalagay doon yung credits, yung references kung saan galing para kung sino mong babasa nun, alam nila kung saan hahanapin at kung saan ka talaga nag-iso. Para makita nila na you have basis, you are not just rubbing about it. No? Of course, cross-verify or citation before submitting your document. And rechecking, kasama mo sa rechecking. Ayan, i-check mo. Kung i-check mo kung tama yung construct ng gawa mo, check mo din yung citations mo. Meron ba ako nakalitang ligay? Meron ba ako pinagsama? May mga mahalagang bagay ba ako na dapat pang isama? So, yan. So, resort the available plagiarism software to ensure the originality. Ngayon, marami na ganyan. May mga AI website na nag-verify kung plagiarism ba siya, plagiarism safe ba yung work. So, pwede natin gamitin yun. I-check nyo kung yung ano nyo ba ay pasok or baka naman merong kapareho. So, you can change it. So, ayan, how to evaluate website. Damit ka. So, ayan, move on na tayo. Supporting the Morris suggests that only evaluating websites as references in research. That's nothing. So open the site when looking through Google search. yung bio niya, ito si ganyan, like communist, ganito, for almost years just like this. Nasa profile siya, kumbaga nilalagay din ng mga authors doon, yung mga achievements nila, positions nila, at gaano sila ka-well mo na person. So you can determine if that certain author is a trustworthy. Number 3 is design avoid sites that are cluttered and difficult to navigate. So ayan, tignan mo kung yung mga mahirap na ma-navigate na sites. Baka kasi itong site na ito, mukhang maganda lang naman yung, yung front niya, pero mahirap pala siyang gamitin. Mas mahirap yung mga pasikot-sikot niya. Kumbaga, hindi mo din naman mahanap or kukuha yung tamang sagot na kailangan mo kasi nga, yung site pa lang, tinlang ka na. So, number 4 is source trustworthy articles, usually link to the other sources or scientific factual. So, yes, para masabing factual and authentic ang isang article, it does have if evidences and of course sources na nakakasiguro ka na doon yung hinuha and meron talagang totoong basis. So, consider the purpose of the site. Para saan ba itong site na ito? Kaya kanina, I gave the examples of different websites and its specific purpose for commercial, or informational, or promotional. So, kailangan mong alamin, para sa education, sa research ko. So, what kind of website do I need to find? Of course, informational. Yun yung hahanapin mong website. Hindi mo hahanapin yung website na for promotional. Kasi, of course, ang mga downloads, mga pinopromote nila kung ano yung mga nilalaman ng website sa wala. So, yes. Next number. Look for the date. Consider whether ulit-ulit. So, ayun. Yun na nga. Hahanapin mo kung pasok pa ba sa timeline yung yung posted article doon. So, dapat kasi 3 years validity yun. Hindi na siya pwedeng lumampas. And then, of course, integrating digital or cyber literacy into the curriculum. Paano nga ba siya i-apply? Bakit kaya? Siyempre, research-driven na ang ating curriculum ngayon. So, basically, hindi to say lagi halos lahat ay related na siya into cyber literacy. A teacher must be literate in technology. Literate na dapat si teacher kasi dapat alam niya din yung mga different types of website and kung paano ito gamitin, kung ano yung tamang sources. So, mas easy siya to distribute information. So, suggested activities to integrate digital literacy is the higher order thinking and constructions of the classroom. So, use of interactive whiteboard design and deliver lessons. Ay, for example, activities na po. So, we don't do that. So, ayan. With this kind of activities na ang teacher nakakayaan niya na yung mga students niya mismo ang mag-perform. Kumbaga, activity not about writing, but performing. The student will personally experience the activities. Kumbaga, sila mismo yung maggagawa. Kagaya kung sabi ng, kasi mas madaling natututo yung estudyante kapag they're the one who's performing, they're the one who's doing it. Learn by doing, right? So, yes. Ayan, dapat ngayong, dahil research-driven na curriculum, dapat ay merong lagi interactive yung classroom. So, it allows students to maintain logs, gigs, web page related to their learning. Sige, pwede ko i-produce ko mga different types of sites, logs na to, para sa mga students mo to create an activities. Paano ba yun? For example, you can ask your student to create a travel blog or a accomplishment report in blogs. Kumbaga, instead of writing it, they are telling stories about their experiences. Kung ano yung mga na-accomplish nila during the whole semester. So, ayan. You can engage the student in email, videos, plans, exchange with students. Yan. Ito yung tinatawag na yung global classroom. Meron tayo tinatawag ng global classroom. Meron mga universities na being familiarized na makagawa ng mga sarili nilang studies. And then, it allows the student to use digital tools. So, instead of just using the phones and other gadgets para sa tools sa internet, they also learn how to apply it on academic. So ano ba yung impact ng integrating digital literacy in the classroom and teachers, families, and friends? So of course, they said daw na nag-motivate ng students ng learning yung learning nila. Mas parang mas nag-enjoy sila because they are interacting with other people across the world. Diba? They could learn from the other countries, from the other countries' students. Nagkakaroon ng palitan ng information and the knowledge. So, and then, ayan, nare-reach din ito yung mga different learning styles of a person according to what they prepared and what works on that certain person. Kumbaga, parang nagkakaroon tayo na enhancement of multiple intelligence. Parang doon. So, ayan, it also allows students to be creative na i-out nila yung mga creativities nila using digital. Nakakapag-create sila ng mga arts, designs, just like that, through digital. So, it encourage students then to manipulate media for academic purposes. Hindi yung yun lang, stop. And tapos to share their learning with the teachers, families, and friends as a mode of communications, di ba nga, ang internet. Yan, nakakapag-share tayo ng mga ideas na just by simply posting a work of yours in Facebook, yun, nagkaano ka na agad doon, nag-share ka na agad ng knowledge. So, it gives you the chance to explore technological media, parang and use the job skills in place. So, ayan, guys, dito daw nga, nare-ready yung students. Dahil sa social media, mas nare-ready sila na parang na-equip sila ng skills na kailangan nila doon sa job kung para saan sila. Diba? Parang nagpa-practice yung students kung ano ba yung mas dapat kong ma-master before I got into this specific field. Diba? Kasi dahil sa internet, nandiyan na lahat ng sources. Nandiyan na, pwede ka lang mag-research, pwede ka makakuha ng online lesson. So, bago ka pumasok dun sa specific field na yun, na designated ka talaga, you already know what to do. No more economics kasi you already practice it. So, ayan. Tapos na ako. So, ito yung quotations na lang.